Alpha and Gamma have been the big producers for me, so that's where I'm keeping the majority of my funds.
Sure.
Again, not huge dollars here, but again, like I've only been a part of it. I really didn't really get things going probably until November 1st, right? So this is roughly about, 10 grand or so.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell me a little bit about yourself. What is your professional background?
yeah, so it's funny. My first job out of college, I started in recruiting. I've been recruiting ever since then. So I've been in it for 23 years. Oh man, make myself sound like a dinosaur. But yeah, I've been in the recruiting talent acquisition space, and now I work for a technology company. I manage and lead a recruiting team that does all of our hiring in the Americas for the organization. It's turned out to
Wow.
be a pretty good gig.
Wow. And so you've been with that company for how long is it?
I've been with this company for 3 years.
Hmm.
Prior to this, I was at an organization for about a decade.
Hmm.
And then before then, I was working with I was a recruiter working for a couple different staffing agencies.
Nice.
So I've been
Well,
on the staffing agency vendor side, and now I'm been on the corporate side for about
which one do you prefer?
corporate for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine.
They're pros and cons for both, right? But corporate just a little bit more stability. The
Hmm.
vendor side can get a little nutso, right? I mean, it's basically the more people you place, the more money you make, right? Which is not a bad thing, but it's just that constant roller coaster of right. Like you placed three people this week, but then you got four contractors falling off next week, right? And it's just
Yeah.
that grind after all. If you know anyone who's been in the staffing industry, who's been a recruiter on the staffing side, if they've been in it for 3 or 4 years, then you know that they've got some chops because they've battled through some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know that's the same in a couple of different industries like sales or, insurance or whatever, but
Yeah.
that makes total sense. So then is the fact that it was the long hours and everything that was the motivation for you to want passive income, or what was the reason that you
Yeah, I mean, so I'm 44 now, right? Three kids, married, and I've done well for myself. I'm at a good point in my career. You know how it goes, man. Reading, like listening to your story, like, man, there's how can I generate income, passively? And so I've looked at a lot. I've done some real estate stuff. I've tried doing some day trading myself, and it wasn't unsuccessful. I just didn't have the time commitment, right? I work every day,
yeah.
right? So I would try to trade like during my lunch hour and try and hurry and write, and that just didn't pan out, right? And I was like, man, I got to find something that can just generate some passive income for me. Obviously, eventually at some point, right, not have to work for the big corporate dog anymore, right? I mean, that's the end goal, right? Where if I could get to that point, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
And
100%.
honestly, my experience so far with ATN and just the short amount of time I've been on, I can see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, possibly for something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great. Not only do we love to provide hope, but we also love to provide actual results, like
Yeah.
not just the hope. And so
Yeah.
that's great. I'm glad that you're experiencing those things. And so for you then, day trading just took up too much of your time. You weren't able to fully lock in because of course you have a full-time, job and other priorities. You got a family, you got kids. So then for you, day trading was kind of out, but how about real estate? What was your experience there?
I've looked at we've done some things with some friends, looked at some properties. I own a condo, like my bachelor pad I used to live in by myself. I still own that and still rent it out, and it generates a couple $100 of income. But there's always things that you got to fix. And right now, the way the market is with the rates, right? I mean, rental income and investing in that way, it's upside down right now,
It's
right? Because
upside. It's a
with
renter's
rates and with
market.
mortgages, you're not going to make any income from a rental property because the mortgage rates are too high. So when that started happening, I was like, well, this isn't going to make sense. Like, I want to get into this thing being in the negative every month. That's not the point of this. So, just doing a lot of research and trying to see what else is out there. And it's funny, just one day I came across one of your little ads on Instagram and I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, what? I don't know. I knew nothing about automated trading or algorithms, nothing. So I was a straight rookie, straight
Yeah.
newbie to this whole thing.
So you saw the ad and it piqued your interest because you were just like, wait, I haven't heard of this. I don't know really know what this is. And
Yeah.
that's what made you decide to click and learn more.
Yeah, I mean, listening to your story, right? Family man, kids, finding ways to be more passive. How can you get more involved with gives you more time to be with your kids and your family, right? Like, I mean, I'm not going to complain about my job, right? I mean, I got a pretty decent work-life balance, but if there's opportunity, I mean, you're right. Time is the most important thing, right? How do we get more time, right? And if there's ways to generate passive income that will allow me to eventually step out of the corporate world, right, and still be able to provide for my family, give me time back and spend that time with my kids and get to coach their teams and do all the things I want to do, right? That's not possible right now. Can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, seeing your story and seeing that you're able to do that, right? I mean, I would think any family man with a family would have to listen to your story to have some kind of interest. It's just most people, I don't think, probably just don't have the means to do something like this, right? To really generate the kind of income passively to
Yes.
make an impact, right? That's the biggest problem.
No, that is one of the bigger barriers for sure. And we don't encourage anyone to like have to finance this or do any sort of like, funding situation because it's like, look, this is for those like you described your situation is kind of the golden handcuff situation. It's like there's gold. Hey, these bracelets look pretty nice, but then you try to, separate your arms a little bit and you're like, wait a second, like I can't spend as much time with my family, can't, coach the teams and do the things that I really want to do on my terms fully. And so that's kind of the dichotomy. That's the issue of making it to be successful in the corporate world, or even you can have the golden handcuffs in your own business. It's just the reliance on your time for dollars. And so, a big part of what we help with, of course, is, what you can understand, getting more of your time back. But, that makes total sense on my end then. So for you, the reason you got into wanting to find passive income is to have more flexibility, more freedom and things like that. So you saw the ad, you figured out, okay, this is how we do it. Now, what actually made you decide to join after you actually, went on a phone call, figured out like, kind of the barrier and things of that nature? Were you skeptical? Were you nervous? What made you
Oh
decide?
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's some nerves there, right? I mean, no matter what you're doing, right? Putting up a little bit of money for an investment on something that I'm not really all that knowledgeable about, right? There's concern there. But honestly, listening to the testimonials, right? Like when you listen to real people talking about having real results, it's like there's got to be something to this. Like, and again, I'm in a position where I have money set aside and some stocks and some other things. I'm like, you know what? Let's take a little bit of this and let's just try this out and see what happens. I'm only been in it for 4 months now, but I like what I'm seeing so far. And honestly, I plan on investing more, right? To bump it up even more.
Yeah.
Based on what I'm seeing so far.
And it's great, on your end that you already have a portfolio, and that's what most of our clients have. They've, just like you've got 23 years in the space. Literally, the average kind of time of, being whether an entrepreneur or a employee has been around 2 decades, 2+. And, so what they have is already a good establishment, a good foundation. The biggest problem is they're nearing retirement age for most of them. And well, technically for all of us, right? Nearing retirement age. And they are like, wait, the trajectory that I'm on isn't going to lead me to the quality of life that I really want. Right. And so that's kind of the switch that those individuals hit. But then for the ones that are a little bit younger on the, like our average age is, our clients are 40, 50, 60 years old. So the average is like 50. So on the younger end, around the 40 where you are, the biggest thing for them is the, acceleration. They already have, their hands in real estate, their hands in, stocks and things like that. But just having an alternative investment portion of your portfolio that can really, like increase the overall annual returns of your full plate, then that's one of the major benefits. So not all the eggs in one basket as far as investing, in terms of ATN, but having a good foundation and a good portfolio, and you just slice out a piece for, some of the accelerated growth is
Yeah,
what.
I mean, and so it's funny my experience, right? Because I joined like right around like early October, right? So honestly, Aaron, I don't think I've seen the full potential of ATN yet because I came in right as like election time, voting time, holiday season, all that stuff, right? Because I mean, your support team's awesome, right? Julio, David, Tina, John, they're all great, and they were all like, because the first few months, I'm like, I mean, it's doing some stuff. I see some stuff, and there's like just we're going through this time, right? Let this time pass. Wait till the new year gets here. Things will start kicking off. And it's exactly like they said, right? So far, 6 weeks into the year, I'm seeing a very big difference in these first 6 weeks of the year compared to my previous 2 months, right?
That's excellent. And that's what we really look for is, I mean, it's an annual, it's a year over
Yeah.
year number. We look at the actual, like, compared to stocks and real estate of 7 to 10, maybe 12%, compare that. And we're aiming for 60% year over year of of your overall, kind of, portfolio with us specifically. And so we know, there are months where it's like, man, want this to pick up, but
Right.
that's just the nature. That's just the market overall. There are slower months. There are, just like all of us, like we kind of, well, a lot of people in the workspace, like they slow down a little bit during holiday season, spending more time with their family as much as they can, and obviously focusing on buying Christmas gifts and traveling and doing a bunch of other things. So that's the same thing that traders are doing. Traders
Right.
are spending time with their family doing those things, but also over the summer. The summer, they call them the Hampton months. And so there's, they're taking vacations. They're, spending more time with their kids because their kids are out of school and, trying to soak up the sun because a lot of them live in, the Northeast. And so,
Yeah.
those kind of ups and downs, they take liquidity out of the market. So if there's less trades that are happening, there's less money that's being pumped into them, and then so the volatility is not as much, and so our opportunities are less in order to be profitable. But when the market's like fully active, which is kind of mid to end of quarter one, all of quarter two, kind of, and then the end of quarter three,
Yeah.
middle of quarter four, that's kind of those are the good, really overperforming months to make up
Yeah.
for times that are a little bit less. So
Yeah. Yeah. Like, for example, right? I haven't been a part of an overperforming month yet. So I'm pretty excited to see what that's going to look like. Right. I mean, so perfect example, right? So my wife, she was a teacher for 15 years and she resigned 3 years ago. So obviously, I mean, we all know what teachers make, right? But still, I mean, in these last 6 weeks, I'm generating more passive income on a biweekly basis than what she was making on a biweekly paycheck, right? So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you. And I mean, does your wife kind of know how things are playing out, or you guys communicate on those things?
She's not all that involved in our finance, right?
Okay.
Like she stay at home, PTO at the kids' school, all the kids' stuff, right? Like, and she's starting some design work of her own business, trying to start her own thing. So
Yeah.
she knows she's not the best with the finances, so she lets me handle that stuff.
Well, understood. And I'm sure a good amount of people can relate to that. And so for what she used to do, she resigned 3 years ago. And so now, with essentially replacing her income in that sense, her working to start her own business and things like that, there's not a lot of, or let me know, I mean, on the pressure side of things, are you guys pushing for that, or it's just like, hey, hopefully this all
I
works
mean,
out?
she
Yeah.
she's very good at interior design.
Mhm.
And she's built up a pretty good little network just with her friends and local people through the school, right? And being part of PTO, right? And I'm like, babe, if you want to do this, like you could take this to the next level. And she's like, I don't know if I want to go to the next level though. Like she kind of likes to just be in small and intimate and does her own little thing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So then me knowing that she maybe doesn't want to take it to that next level, which is totally fine, right?
Yeah. No,
That's just
100%.
in my mind, right? From a financial perspective, I'm like, okay, so let's keep looking at the passive income avenues, right? Because I know that that's not going to build into anything significant.
Yeah, no, that
So
makes
that's
total
fine, right?
sense.
It keeps her busy. She's happy with it. She break basically what it does. What honestly, Aaron, the money she makes on that, I said that's your play money. That's your fun money. You go have fun with it. I don't even take that into our financials. You go shopping, do your thing, buy what
Yeah,
you want, right? And
yeah,
it's working out pretty good. Working out
that's
pretty good.
that's excellent. No, it's funny. It reminds me, my wife is in childcare, and she got her in-home childcare license,
Oh
and
yeah.
once she got it, and my daughter turns 2, and she's just like, I just want to spend more time with her. I just want to focus on this, and I'm like, okay, we don't have to. And then she gets to be like 4, and then our son is born, and he's like, kind of, in his first few months, and I was just like, hey, do you think that the business, you're gonna start doing anything with it yet? She's like, no, I'm gonna wait till he gets older, and when he gets to kindergarten, then I'll start doing it. And so just allowing her the space and the time to get it going, and whenever and however she wants, but just there to support. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that just means Aaron's going, okay, what's the next strategy I'm going to invest in here?
Exactly.
What am
Exactly.
I going to add to my portfolio here then? Okay.
Yeah. And so, with that, how, in terms of the getting your account set up, right? The onboarding process, and you mentioned the support, how has everything gone with Julio, David, the team?
Oh, those guys are awesome. It's so easy. For me, my biggest issue was my bank. They were a little bit difficult to work with, and the initial process of just transferring funds and getting the account funded, and they had a bunch of questions. And honestly, I think I was working with someone who was a little bit new and didn't know what the hell they were talking about, honestly. And so it took me a couple weeks to get all that figured out. But everything on your end with your crew, with David, simple, easy, very responsive, right? I'm in the corporate world, right, and in recruiting, so it is a constant machine of communication. So through the Slack channel, messaging your people, I mean, they get back to me within 30 minutes every time I put a message in there, right? I mean, that's phenomenal. That's awesome.
One eight
From
hundred
from a
hour. There
from
you
a
go.
from a customer perspective to have that kind of attention, I'm going to tell you right now, buddy, that's huge. That is huge. I mean, you know that, right?
Yeah.
That's the piece that most companies are missing these days is the customer service.
I started in customer service when I was 20 years old. That was
Yeah.
something that, like, the first 3 or 4 years of my career was kind of rooted in, and that I realized I was just like, all these clients, all these customers really want is someone to reassure them
Yeah.
and address their concern.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Reassurance, address their concern, do it in a timely manner, do it, respectfully, or in a with a happy heart. Their experience, even if, like, the service was terrible when it came to not, it shouldn't be terrible. Like, if they, somebody came and like fixed their gutter, and like, something is still leaking or whatever. But if the customer service has to be a high standard, and so that way, if the service is not that great, then there's like, okay, we'll fix this, we'll do that. But if the service is great, then it's just like, oh, this is perfect. You guys got both sides taken care of, and that's what we wanted. We wanted both sides taken care of. One we have more control of, the other we don't have as much
Yeah.
control of. But fortunately, the talent that we do have on that side, they typically, more often than not, do what's exactly needed and necessary.
Oh yeah, they do agree. Now that I know what I know, right, and I'm more comfortable with everything, thinking back on the dumb questions I had when I first started, the whole crew is like, Justin, no questions dumb, man. Ask anything and everything. Like, we want you to know what you need to know. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah. And
I
I
felt
and I
bad for I felt bad for David a few times. I'm like, sorry, I'm pinging you again, man. He's like, no, dude. He's like, I don't care. I'm like,
I love that, because I mean, those are my values, right? And anytime you're running a business, you want your values to be, within your business. And for me, it's no question is a dumb question unless you ask it twice. Just kidding. And so that's something that with them, you saying that that's what they're giving you, that's exactly what I want to hear. I'm happy that not only are they getting back to you within an hour, which is exactly what we want, but they're also, making you feel like, hey, we're here for your help, your service, your attention, your support. So, and maybe that's a part of it. But what, on your end, in this last, several months, what do you feel like makes ATN different?
I'll go back right now. Again, not being fully knowledgeable or educated in this space, right? Right now, the key differentiator is the customer service for me. Now that I've been a part of ATN for the last 4 months, like, I'm seeing other products out there. Like, I feel like now that I'm part of this, I get a lot more notifications of other organizations with algorithms and day trading and all these things, right? And I don't have any interest in looking at those, right? I have no complaints or issues or negative experiences with ATN. So why would I even look at trying to go down another avenue, right? When this is clearly working. And to my point earlier, I haven't even seen the full benefits of everything yet, right? I'm excited to what you said once this quarter continues to get rolling, and some of the things that I'd like to do. I think it'd be really interesting. But
Uh,
yeah, I think those are the biggest things, right? Your personal touch that you give to your customers, that's the game changer for me.
yeah, 100%. And
Yeah,
thanks for
the product speaks for itself and does the results for itself. Right?
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'll get into the passivity of it all, but do you actually mind if you can, do you mind pulling up your account and sharing your screen?
Yeah, sure. So I just unsubscribed from the EU Elite strategy the other day.
Mhm.
I had it for 6 weeks or so, and it just wasn't doing much.
Yeah,
Right now, Alpha and Gamma have been the big producers for me, so that's where I'm keeping the majority of my funds.
sure.
Again, not huge dollars here, but again, like I've only been a part of it. I really didn't really get things going probably until November 1st, right? So this is roughly about, 10 grand or so.
Yeah.
And over the holidays, I wasn't expecting much, right? Just because it's
Yeah.
the holidays, like you guys said. But no, I mean, I'm looking forward to what this can do. Like I said, as we move on in the year until we get the actual busy season when things really kind of turn up. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. And you can stop share. I appreciate you sharing, on
Oh,
that,
yeah.
10K, in the last only couple of months, with those
Yeah.
accounts specifically. That's great. And so, on your account, once everything got set up and rolling, how quickly did you actually start making passive income?
Yeah, there was positive passive income in the end of that first week. Yeah, it was up and going, and I think it was like 250, $300 that first week. I try to do a good job of I don't want to check it every day, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
But I usually check it like at the end of the week on a Friday. I'm like, all right, let's see how we did.
Yeah.
But first week it was in the positive, and then I would say every week since then it has typically increased, right? Obviously the last 5, 6 weeks that we've been in the new year, Alpha and Gamma have been pretty consistent, right? Anywhere between that 4 to 6% range is what we're seeing per week, which is what you guys said. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Per month, right? Like not on the
Per month, sorry. My bad.
yeah.
Right. You're like, whoa, man, you're flying. No,
Yeah, I
sorry.
know our crypto option does things like that, and then there are some months again that are with forex that are a lot higher than kind of the median. So, but on your end, based off of the day trading and the kind of real estate and in terms of being an investor on those things, where would you actually rank ATN compared to the other ventures you've tried?
Oh, the question that I've seen in the other testimony was yes. Oh, I mean, how can you not rank ATN as number one, right? I'm not doing anything and I'm generating income. You can't beat that, right? It's no hassle, no stress on me, right? It's just doing its thing and generating positive passive income,
That's what I was
right?
going to ask. Like, how passive is it after the onboarding phase, after you
Yeah.
allocate your funds? Or how
I don't
passive?
do anything other than withdrawing when you need to withdraw a little bit of money, right? But you don't do anything. And now I've asked like some questions as I'm kind of getting a little more accustomed to things like what are some of the other strategies, right? How is their performance? You had mentioned some stuff on crypto. I saw something on the Telegram the other day with some options of like 90-10, 95-5. So I reached out first to Julio and just curious what that looks like. But that might be something I might be interested in it as we move along here. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, the fastest way to improve results is for you to get, a bigger percentage of what's already being generated.
Yeah.
Uh, that's what we've been able to see with other people's accounts where, they're averaging, whatever it would be. And then they decide to go with something like the 95.5 and
Yeah.
like, yeah, our
Right.
next conversations are a lot, kind of different just again, because they were at 80% and then the difference that 95% makes is pretty substantial.
Yeah. Yeah. So with my company, I've got a stock grant that's coming in March and it'll be roughly around 100. So my plan is once that stock grant hits, I'm going to take that 100 and I'm going to put it into here.
I mean, love it. I mean, congratulations on the stock grant as well. I mean, that's great.
Yeah. It's, this is my first time working for a publicly traded company. So
That's
The
amazing.
stock side of things is kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie.
That sounds amazing. And so for you then, it's been passive. The main thing is, allocating and then withdrawing, doing those type of things. How likely are you, considering, us staying consistent here, how likely are you to recommend us?
Oh, I've already been talking to a couple buddies. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're a lot like I was when I first was researching, right? Like the upfront fee to get things going, right? Like they're very hesitant on that, right? They're like, ooh, like I need to put up this for this to get going. Like, yeah, like it's hard for them to get over that hump, right?
Yeah.
And I understand. I went through the same mindset going through that, right? But I was like, listen, if you have my friends are in very similar situations, right? Very well off in their career, doing good. They've got portfolios of different things. Like, listen, take a little chunk from one of your things, right? Just try it.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you didn't know this, you actually have access to a credit because you are a client. So you get access to a 10% credit. And that means that if you recommend someone and they do end up becoming a client, then so let's say, it was 35K or something along those lines, then you would have 10% of that where you could give that to the friend of yours. You could keep
Oh,
it for yourself, you could split it, what have you, but we offer that 10% credit for friends
oh,
and family.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
So
I got a couple buddies that are they're we've had a couple conversations and they're thinking about it. Now, they're kind of in situations where they're their wives are a little more involved with the financials.
sure.
So they have to have that conversation with the wife too. And the wives, their wives are pretty frugal. So
Ah, sure. And you know what? Those type of situations happen, and sometimes the husband and the wife are disconnected on those things. So of course we defer to the one that runs the household, which is typically we know who that is. And so with that, what we like to have our clients do that want to recommend or refer, we just say send them our YouTube link or send them, our website or something along those lines that allows for them to consume the content, of course, for themselves,
yeah,
and book a call, get their questions specifically answered, and there's no commitment there. So whether they do become clients or not, you just sharing the content allows for them to make the information connect the way that it will for them. And then, of course, you are still connected. So if they in 6 months decide to join us, we know where the prospect came from, and we'll be able to accommodate.
yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like once I get a few more, like maybe another quarter or two underneath my belt, and I can
Yeah,
show them even better results,
yeah.
that'll probably be getting them over the hump. Probably.
100%. Yeah, no, results speak louder than words could
Yeah.
ever do. And so I completely understand that. Love it. So, I mean, on my end, the last real question that I have is, why would someone who is maybe skeptical, they've been burned in the past, I've lost six figures myself and other things. What would you say if someone was skeptical, but had the means, had the actual financial capacity that is necessary, but they're just afraid and they've been burned before? What would you maybe say to them if you could?
I mean, honestly, it's listening to the testimonials, listening to real people who have real results. That's the key, right? You guys aren't putting a gimmick out there. You're not trying to sell us on anything, right? You're like, listen to our customers and listen to their experience that they're having. That to me, that's what does it for me, right? I don't need to talk to a sales guy. I don't need someone to pitch me a thing, right? I want to hear what are the results of the customers that you have today and what do they have to say.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest key. That's the biggest key, right? And you guys do a good job of it. Yeah.
But I don't get tired of hearing those type of those type of words of encouragement, and those things are really, again, the client experience is the one side, but the actual results it weighs heavily as well. So I'm glad that you're having success to this point, and we do plan to have this all continue. Doesn't stop here. So the next time we'll connect is probably in the next couple of months. So just like you said, give it another quarter or two, and we'll just kind of reevaluate some things, or just kind of just have another conversation. But love it. Did you have any questions or anything for me for now?
Just a couple quick short ones. One, is there a ceiling? as far as investment from us into this? Is there a cap?
As far as like for you specifically, or like a retail client specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, is it like 300 is the cap, or is it beyond? I mean,
no,
do
it's
people have
beyond. So
billion-dollar portfolios? I don't.
yeah. So basically, if you wanted to go past 1 million, then we need to talk. Like we will kind of need to plan for that accordingly. It is possible, but we need to set a plan specifically for that.
Yeah, I'm not in that ballpark, but I mean, I just
Yeah, great question though. But you know, you very shortly could be in that ballpark, right?
could
So
be, could
um,
be in a few
yeah,
years. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so so that's kind of the kind of barrier, the cutoff
Okay.
at this point where it's like 1 million, we need to plan specifically for that.
Okay. And then second one is just like on your strategy, Aaron. I'm very curious how you go about this. Like, do you kind of find your one, two, or three accounts that are really your home run hitters, and that's where you like to stick with, or do you kind of like to play with the different ones and vary quarter to quarter? I'm kind of curious how you play it.
No, typically I stick with them and I'll just add more to other strategies if if that's what I want to do. So
Okay.
I've been with EU Elite for the longest, and then it would go to the Alpha and the Gamma, and then moving into the G44. So those are kind of the four that I stick with right now. The biggest part of the portfolio is EU, and then kind of around 30% is with Alpha and Gamma respectively. And with those, I just know that it goes like, so Omega and Gamma are kind of like the lower to medium risk. The EU Elite and G44 are kind of like that medium risk, and then the Alpha is going to be kind of closer to the medium to higher risk. So
Okay. Okay.
I just plan those things accordingly, but that's the makeup of the portfolio.
Yeah. Is there a place where all the different options, like what you just mentioned, and like one place to look at all the different options, their level of risk, what their performance has
Oh
been
my
over the
gosh, that's
last year
brilliant.
or two? Like, is there a place to go to look at all that in one?
There currently isn't, but because you said that, we are going to have that for you within 48 hours. That's a
48 hours? Oh,
Or we're a startup. We're a smaller company. We could turn around things pretty quickly. So I definitely feel like that's very, very valuable, a visual of
oh
those
yeah.
things. I think that would be helpful for sure.
Oh yeah. I think that would be great. Yeah. I don't know how many times like I'm pinging the crew like, hey, like I saw this note about this in the Telegram, and then they got to ping them, right? And they got to give me back and give me the information. I'm like, if it was just all one place all together, I could do my own research myself, right? To
That's
see the
brilliant.
strategies, how they perform, what the relative risk is, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
That's perfect. Any other feedback or suggestions or thoughts on that end?
No, I like the Telegram with those bits of information. I like those conversations with the traders and how they're talking about different things that they're doing with the algorithms and changes that they're making, improvements that they're making. That's interesting to me. I like that stuff. It kind of helps me understand it a little bit better, which is nice. Even though, like to your point, I'm not doing anything other than just watching it, but it's kind of
Yeah.
nice getting that education to understand a little bit more.
1000%.
Yeah,
The insight is useful, and I'm glad that it's useful for you specifically, and
yeah,
we'll keep it going because we feel like an educated client is a good client, right? So we want to keep good clients, only. So that's important. But I mean, on my end, again, I'm really excited for the fact that you're seeing results, and we're off to a good solid start. We've got a good foundation that we're building, and we do plan to continue to show what we can do, and then there's always going to be more down the line, but the first things first, make sure that we get consistent results, and then we can talk about other things that we do have coming up.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited for that, man. I'm excited for that.
Love it.
Keep doing what you guys do.
100%. We are here. Love it. All right, good time, Justin. Thanks for taking the moments, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Aaron. Thanks for the time, buddy. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
You too. So every 30 days, I talk one-on-one with my clients, and that was their experience. If you want to learn more on how we help our clients earn 60% or more per year, then click the link in the description below.